get to talk to me. Okay. Good to be here. Good to see everyone. Short week, so excited to get going. We had a kind of great meeting this morning, kind of put some things to bed. Now we're moving on. Colorado State, excited. Friday night game. Everyone has great Friday night light memories, and so our kids are excited about getting on the road. It kind of always brings the team together. I think Colorado State, I think you ignore the record. I think they're a really good football team. They got two running backs, Dupree and Abbott, that are really good players. Downhill guys can make you miss, have explosiveness. I think their O-line is one of the better ones that we've seen. And then I think they're going through a little bit of a transition offensively. They've kind of changed some gears or changed some thought process, changed quarterback at the end of the University of Texas San Antonio game. So it'll be interesting to see kind of who we see, and I'm sure they're still trying to identify kind of who they are. Defensively, they're a 3-4 team that loves to bring pressure. And so we're going to have a really good plan. Run pressures on early downs, try to get you off schedule. I think they're going to ask their secondary to do a ton in coverage from a man standpoint, and then I think they have one of the better defensive players in the league, Owen Long, number 40. Really good linebacker, sideline to sideline, all conference type of kid. So really impressed with who he is and how he plays. But I'll open it up for questions.
Morning, Coach. Anything injury front from Saturday's game?
Nope.
Good to go. Cool. Short week you mentioned, and especially with travel on top of that. I mean, how quick does the schedule get in a week like this for you?
Well, really, we think our schedule's built for even games like this, and so we're not going to change a whole lot from a practice structure. We just leave a day earlier. We leave Thursday afternoon versus Friday, but for the most part, we'll have all our reps in. We'll get everything we need to get accomplished. Then, of course, we'll have a good walkthrough in the hotel on Friday.
Bowl eligibility is a big thing in terms of making sure the landmark happens with that 6th win. You get an opportunity to do that. What does it mean to you and mean to the team, and at least guaranteeing potentially with a win a game at the end of the year?
We haven't talked about it. This morning, big graphic on the screen was 1-0. It's all we're worried about. And then if we're fortunate enough to go 1-0 this week, you and I will have a conversation about that next week.
Sounds good, Coach. And then in terms of just tail of the tape from the week before the Saturday game, anything learned from just in the aspect of, the struggles we saw in the second half and trying to correct the momentum that was coming out of that game?
I think it's still an execution standpoint, still guys trusting the rules and principles, things that we work on throughout the week. I don't think it was an effort issue at all. There was plenty of positives during the course of the game. We had a great 2-minute drive right before half. We won the middle 8. We had a great 4-minute drive. We won the turnover battle. There was a lot of positives. Of course, would we have liked to have been a little more efficient during that third quarter? Of course we would. But I think we learned a little bit about ourselves. And the fact that, we are still, I think, we're still in the works. We're not where we need to be, nowhere near. Our kids know that. There's a mindset of growth still when we come to every meeting. They know that our best football is ahead of us, especially if we can get all 3 phases working together. I was really pleased with how we played special teams-wise. You go back and watch that film. There was 2 or 3 punts that they were actually trying to run a fake. You see their players blocking people downfield. I thought our kids did a really good job of taking away some of the explosive plays or the momentum plays that they were trying to create to win the game.
Hey, Coach, good morning. What can we expect to see out of the running game on Friday? I know we saw that big chunk play from Speedy on Saturday, but do we expect there's more running the ball on Friday night?
Well, I hope we're able to run the football a little bit. I mean, again, I think we're running for nearly 180, 185 yards a game. I think that's a great number, especially as we're an offense that's still continuing to grow and to try to better ourselves. So I think we need to be more consistent, though. I think there was too many plays during the course of Saturday night's game where we got behind the chains, and so we need to make sure that we're staying on track. We're staying ahead of the chains. We're being more efficient in some of our early down run game.
Is it a relief that Friday does not look like weather's going to be a factor? I see it's going to be 70 degrees and clear.
We had kind of already addressed it. We made sure our players were fully aware of it. But whatever Mother Nature throws at you, you got to be able to handle it, and no excuses.
And any update on Braden Walton? I saw he dressed but didn't play on Saturday.
Yep. That was my decision not to play him. He could have played, but we felt like if we could give him 72 more hours to continue to heal up in an emergency situation, we would have. We had a young man, Torian Penwright, an experienced player who'd started a number of games for us, who was more than capable of playing that spot. So I think it all worked out well, and we anticipate Braden being back in his role this week.
And it was a right knee injury?
No.
Coach, could you expand on some of the differences in this D-line compared to the last two you faced, and maybe some of the other ways the Rams, you expect them to attack you?
Well, 3-4 structure. And so two really big outside linebackers, number 56, number 9. They'll kick their front, give you some field under at different times to get into a 4-man structure. They're going to get into some odd, some bare. So you're going to a wide variety of things. There's probably going to have to be some run checks during the course of the game, just because not every run play works against every front, or you don't like every front against every run play. Probably a better way to say it. But and then they keep you off base. I mean, 44% of the times on base down, so we're talking about 0 and 10, P and 10, 22 and 10, second and medium. They're bringing 5. And so, again, being able to pick those things up, being able to collect those things, identifying where the rotation is and trying to put us in the best situation. So it'll be a good challenge for us. I think, like I said, don't look at their record, because I think they're a really good football team, and I know they're well coached.
With the change in quarterback and a play caller on offense, how do you see this team evolving midseason on film?
Well, you don't have a big population of plays to look at. I mean, it happened just after the last game. So, we're going to go into it with the best information that we have, the best intel we have. But at the same time, our emphasis is always us. So let's make sure we put ourselves in a good situation. If we can be, elite at our fundamentals and untrust the rules and process of our calls, then I think we'll have an opportunity to be competitive.
The tight ends had quite a big game this past weekend. How have you seen them kind of settle in as the season's gone on?
Well, I think that was one of our best groups. Not now, but it's been all season. They've been really consistent in their play. There's probably a couple plays on Saturday we wish we had back. But really excited about the 3 of them, and just they all provide a little bit of something different. And so it's a well-rounded room, hard-working room. Coach Ferentz does a tremendous job with that group, and I think that's a position group we need to continue to lean on, over the course of the next few years, because I think you're seeing a trend right now in college football. A lot of people are getting back to 12 personnel, getting back to having a lot of tight ends on the field, and that's our best group. When we have those tight ends out there, because I joke with them that they're O-linemen with wings, because they can do a lot in the run game and pass game, what you saw Saturday.
Coach, after EJ scrambles for that 11-yard gain, you get a big first down, you don't go to one of your bell cows, you go to Brandon Ramirez. What went into that decision?
Just some of those plays were personneled for him. And so he had repped them the most that week. Again, we went to, in the 4-minute mode, we went into some of our goal line short yardage stuff. Play selection wise, and Brandon was just the guy that was personneled for those plays. And so, again, he showed effectiveness. I mean, unfortunately, he had a touchdown called back earlier in the game. He's played big for us in other games during the year. So Brandon's he's a instrumental part of the program, an instrumental part of that room.
Your big message every week is you want to go 1-0.
Yep.
To your players, to us. With getting in a conference schedule and seeing these rivalries down the road, does that change? Do you just want to keep the 1-0 mentality?
Yeah, I want to keep the 1-0 mentality, because I've seen it too many times where all of a sudden you start looking ahead, you start trying to peek around the corner to see who's up, and all of a sudden you can set yourself up for failure. I mean, we had a good talk this morning with our football team. It's hard to win games in college football, even if you're favored, right? And you look at the national scoreboard this weekend. Penn State goes to L.A. and gets beat, a ranked team. Texas goes to Florida, a ranked team, gets beat. Iowa State goes to Cincinnati, a ranked team, and gets beat. Hard to win on the road, hard to win in general. And again, all those other teams that they got beat by had lesser records. And so my point to our team today was we're going to throw that out. All right, we're going to worry about ourselves and just take care of this game, and then we'll worry about the next one after it. Yep. I think that's accurate. I think people circle the schedule when they get to play the Bulldogs. I think part of it is because, especially when they come to our place, come to Fresno. They know there's going to be a crowd. They know there's going to be energy. They know the crowd's going to be involved in the game. And I think because of the success, too, that this program's had. There's tradition. There's a lot of pride that's associated with the red wave, with the Bulldogs, with the four-paw logo. And, I think it's one of those things they want to check the box. They want to play well against the Bulldogs and beat the Bulldogs. And so we have to be prepared for everyone's best. And I think you want to be at a place like that. If I was a recruit, I want to be somewhere where, you're going to get everyone's best, because that means we have to play at a high level every week.
And then when you look back at the film and you look at the third quarter kind of lull, do you think it was more of an energy thing or an exexecution thing? Or
I think it was definitely an execution thing. Again, now we're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, and at some time, you try to continue to keep warning them, the traps, don't look at the scoreboard. There may have been a little bit of that. Because we kind of ended the second quarter in a flurry. But we'll address those things, continue to work on them. But again, we need to come out better, and we did. We came out in that third quarter, got that stop right away. That kind of solidified win in the middle eight. But then we kind of went on went to sleep for a minute, and that's on me. That's on. We got to be better. I got to be better.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
When you look at the run game on Saturday, what's one issue that could be fixed ahead of Friday?
I think pad level from a fundamental standpoint, footwork is a huge deal, and then just the pre-snap communication. I think we got they showed some things, and they should. I mean, they had 2 weeks to prepare for us. We had 2 weeks to prepare for them, and so it was a little bit of a chess game here and there during different times. And then I think as a staff, we learned some valuable things in regards to just trusting what we're good at. The things that we install early in fall camp, that needs to be our bread and butter. And when we get into those moments, we need to lean back on those things.
That leads to my next question, because you said after the game that you didn't want to compromise your game plan or your mentality and switch things up when things are going bad. Who taught you that as a young coach?
I appreciate the thing. First off, that you called me a young coach.
No, who taught you that when you were coming up as a coach? That's what I meant. But you are also young.
Yeah, thanks. I've probably been in some moments where we lost games that I didn't think we should have, and I think human nature is when things don't go right, well, let's start from scratch. Let's redo everything. And I think people forget that compromises your big vision, your big plans more than anything. And so, Craig Bohl was someone that I remember having a conversation with, former head coach at Wyoming, when I was head coach at North Dakota State. Got beat a couple times in a season, and just like anywhere, the sky was falling, and it would have been easy to say, hey, we're going to scratch this, scratch that. But that would have been more detrimental. And so sometimes I have to just tell myself that. I'm a very type A individual. I want things to work by the plan, very regimented, oriented, and when they don't, I can easily get frustrated and think we need to change. So that was probably just as much for me as it was for our staff.
I know lessons learned in a win are way better than lessons learned in a
No
loss. But is there something to be said about playing down to the opponent against Nevada, and maybe a danger of doing so again against Colorado State?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we were motivated to play. I think our kids have done a really good job of eliminating the distractions, eliminating, maybe what the media wants to associate with an opponent, and just we're going to take them for what they are on film. We watch more film than the average individual, and so I don't think so. I think when you talk about a football team, I think did we have some ups and downs on Saturday? Of course, but there was a lot of really good things. Like I said before, I thought our special teams played at an elite level and took away all the trick plays that they had shown up to that time. And but those things don't go noticed because we took them away, right? If all of a sudden they would have ran a fake, we'd be talking about it today. But they couldn't because we did a really good job of spying and getting eyes on the punter. And taking those things away and taking advantage of our preparation.
And last question for me. When you win a football game without playing your best football, what does that tell you about your team?
I think, there's always a race to maturity with your football team, and I think that demonstrates a little bit of it. It demonstrates the trust that they have in our routine and the process that we're trying to create. We're still working on it. We're still getting better at it every week. And so they're listening, and that's what I get excited about. They understand situational football. We can roll out a game plan and anticipate it's going to go this way, and it doesn't. Life doesn't go that way. And how you handle adversity, how you handle Murphy's Law, you can either outthink it or outwork it. And I think on Saturday we found examples of both during the game. You bet.
Coach, what do you know about the Rams head coach, Jay Norvell?
I don't know. The thing I know is he played for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Just because I remember growing up and seeing Coach Norvell or Jay Norvell on the sideline at the time. Don't know a ton about him. I met him a couple times through some Mountain West meetings. Know he had a ton of success as a coordinator, as a position coach all over the country. Did really good things when he was the head coach at the University of Nevada. And then, has done a nice job at Colorado State.
What does your defense need to do to keep this consistency and play as well as they did last week?
Well, I think the big thing, and again, it's stat that we really don't talk about, but we gave up only 3 explosive plays. And so again, if we can force people to have to drive the field, make them have to be consistent, because most times people they struggle with that. Someone false starts, there's a drop pass, all of a sudden you're behind the chains, and you become your worst enemy. If we can keep the ball in front of us, I think we had 5 missed tackles on the course of the game. We're tackling at a high level. We're being opportunistic. And again, all those takeaways that we've had over the last 2 weeks, those aren't things that you ever can guarantee. But if you don't practice them, you don't emphasize them, then they won't ever happen. And so it's something that we're going to continue to emphasize in practice. It doesn't necessarily mean it will happen, but better chance that if we can get the ball on the ground, we can get the tips and overthrows. We got to have those, and so I'm excited about where we're at, and I think we're playing at a higher level right now because we're more comfortable in the defense.
What does it say about E.J. Warner's leadership that this team is confident in him to lead that drive at the end of the game?
Well, I think I'll be honest, EJ had it easy in the last drive, except for the big third down. The people we needed to lean on the most was the offensive line, because to have almost a 9-minute drive, you were going to have to move some people at some point. You're going to have to protect. You're going to have to move people, and we were going to have to play better than what we had, during the third quarter. And to see those guys elevate, that's what we talked about this morning. From the 9 minutes remaining in the game, that's where we're starting this week. And so that was really good football right then. So we're going into this week having played really good football at the end of that game. We found a way to finish, and that's what I'm excited about.
What challenges do you think Colorado State's defense is going to present to your line?
Pressure. On third down, designer blitzes. They do a lot of drop 8 stuff where they force the quarterback to have to throw the football in small windows. So they're very active up front. So I think we're going to have to really have a good plan, maybe not an elaborate plan, but just a good plan for execution.
A.J. Warner in the last 3 games has 7 touchdowns and only 1 interception. Have you seen increased confidence in him?
I think just probably better understanding of what we're doing offensively. I think Coach Davis and him are both settling into getting to really know one another. What are the positives? What are the things we're really good at? And what are the things that we're marginal at? And let's put EJ in a situation to be successful. And so you're exactly right. I mean, he's completing about 73% of his passes. The last 3 or 4 games, he's like you said, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I don't know many coaches, coordinators, teams that wouldn't love to have a ratio like that.
The linebackers group has seemed to stand out in most games this year. On Saturday, Jaden Pearson had a big tackle for loss at the end of that game, and Thunderbird had another interception. Can you just speak to how important that group is to the success of your defense?
Sure. They're the communicators out there. That's the thing sometimes we probably don't make a big enough deal about. A lot of the checks, a lot of the adjustments go through them. They have to be, extensions of the coaching staff on the field at times. I mean, I know we have a green dot out there, but it takes more than just one person to communicate and to make sure that all 11 players are on the same page. They're both playing at a high level. I made a comment afterwards, I think, to radio. People asked, why are we playing at a higher level? And I think, there's a comfort level. This was all new to everybody, new terminology. new calls, new techniques, new fundamentals, and you're starting to see a group of kids that are starting to buy in. They're getting more comfortable with the play calling, with Coach Benedetto, with position coaches, and so we're settling it. We're playing faster. We're playing with clear minds right now. We're not processing like you saw early in the season, and so it's exciting. And again, I think those two guys have done a really good job, and I think they've done a great job of mentoring guys like Titus and Logan, kind of their understudies right now. And those guys came in and gave us some really good reps on Saturday too. All right, thank you. Have a great week.